All right, we've got a literary mystery on our hands today, a clue that seems to completely break all the rules of logic. So grab your detective's hat and let's get on the case. Okay, here's our first piece of evidence. The child is the father of the man. Now, at first glance, that's just impossible, right? It totally breaks the laws of nature. It has to be a mistake, or does it? So this is the central puzzle we're trying to crack. How can something so obviously wrong actually be hiding a deeper truth? Well, it turns out this isn't a mistake at all. It's a clue, one that was left for us to find on purpose. And that brings us to the first part of our investigation, the contradiction puzzle. You see, things like this aren't errors. They are puzzles, deliberately set up by writers. And this little trick is called a paradox. It's one of the most powerful tools they have. Here it is. This is the master key to our whole investigation. A paradox is a statement that seems to contradict itself, but, and this is the important part, when you look closer, it actually reveals a much deeper truth. Think of it like a truth disguised as a lie, all to make you stop and really think. And here's the secret formula for cracking any paradox we find. It's pretty simple, really. You've got the contradiction right there on the surface, but underneath, you've got this hidden inner truth. Put them together, and bam, you've got a paradox. Keep this in mind. All right, so we've got our master key and the secret formula. Now we just need to build out our detective's toolkit. How do we actually spot these things out in the wild? Your toolkit has 4 essential tools. First, be on the lookout for opposites. Ideas that just shouldn't go together. Second, trust your gut. If a line makes you stop and you have to reread it, that's a huge clue. Third, apply our formula to dig up that hidden truth. And finally, keep an eye out for big, abstract ideas being mashed together, like life and death or love and hate. Okay, we are fully equipped. I think it's time to solve some cases, don't ya? Let's open up a few classic case files and put our new literary toolkit to the test. Case number 1 comes from the master himself, Shakespeare. I must be cruel to be kind. This is a classic. Cruelty and kindness are total opposites. So how in the world can they exist in the same action? Let's apply the formula. The contradiction? It's obvious. Cruel and kind are opposites. But the hidden truth is something we've probably all experienced. Sometimes you have to be harsh for someone's own good in the long run. The paradox holds both ideas at the same time. Case closed. All right, next case. He felt lonely in the crowd. This one might feel a little familiar. How can you possibly be lonely when you're literally surrounded by dozens, maybe hundreds of people? So the contradiction is physical, right? Loneliness means being alone, but a crowd means you're not. The hidden truth, though, is all about emotion. It shows us that just because people are physically around you, it doesn't mean you feel connected to them at all. And another paradox solved. And for our final case file. The silence spoke louder than words. Now this one is fascinating because it's about the absence of something. Sound. How can nothing say something? The contradiction here is pretty clear. Silence versus speaking. But that deeper truth is so powerful. What isn't said can sometimes carry so much more weight, more emotion, and more meaning than words ever could. So we've solved a few cases. We're getting pretty good at this. But it does lead to the biggest question of all. Why? Why do writers use this, kind of confusing technique in the first place? Why go to all the trouble of creating a puzzle for us? Well, the answer is simple. Because it works. A paradox is like a speed bump for your brain. It forces you to slow down and think deeply, to really engage with the idea. It makes you an active participant. And that makes the idea stick with you. It adds these rich layers of emotion and philosophy, and it reflects the messy, complicated way human experience actually works. These aren't just clever lines. They're unforgettable because they show us a profound truth. Life is rarely simple. So, after our whole investigation, what's the one big takeaway? Where does the real power of a paradox come from? Here is. The ultimate truth that a paradox reveals is that life is not black and white. Real wisdom, real emotion, real truth, it's usually found somewhere in the middle, in that tension between two opposite ideas. It's in the cruelty that's actually kind, the lowliness you can feel in a crowd, and the powerful things said in total silence. And with that, our investigation is closed. But I'll leave you with one final clue to think about on your own. What's a beautiful contradiction, a little paradox, that you've noticed in your own life?